Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to show you how to make these super cute shaker mold keychains, and we're not going to add any liquid to them. The first time I tried to make these shaker molds, I put the liquid in and it was a huge disaster and I swore these off forever. Then I was talking to my friend Kirsten from Maple Street Supply. She's the one who sent me these awesome molds. She said, why don't you try it without the liquid? I think you're gonna love it. Boy, was she right. They're so much more fun. I can't wait to make another one, and they turned out so cute. I'm gonna have all the links for everything that you see in this video down in the description box. You might even find some discount codes for you there as well. So that's enough chit chat for me. Let's go ahead and get started. All right, so first things first, I want to heat up my epoxy. It's really cold right now where I'm at, and my Flynn Sisters epoxy tends to work better when it's nice and warm. So I got this milk warmer from Amazon. I filled it to the max fill line with distilled water, and I have it on the milk warming function, and I'm gonna keep it in there for just 8 minutes. And then we're gonna take it out. In the meantime, I'm gonna mark my fill lines for my mixing cup here. We're gonna mix 60 milliliters of epoxy today, although I'm not gonna use it all for this one project. I've got a different project I'm working on at the same time. I'm gonna mix this like I normally would by pouring in part B first, because it is a thinner part of the formula than the part A, so it's going to help us mix better. My epoxy is a 1-to-1 ratio, 2-part epoxy. After we have it measured to the lines that we marked earlier in our graduating mixing cup, I'm going to use a stainless steel butter spreader to mix it. And we want to mix until we don't see any more streaks, any more ribbons in it, no cloudiness. I usually take about 10 minutes to mix any kind of epoxy. I go low and slow, and I like to make sure that it's thoroughly mixed, using the corner of my butter spreader to scrape the corners, bottoms, inside of my cup as I go. I also like to put it up to the light just to see if I could see any more streaks. If I do, I just keep going for a couple more minutes. And then once I'm done mixing, I'm just gonna plop it right back into that milk warmer. Even though it's not on, the water is still warm enough to help bring those remaining bubbles in our cup up to the surface before we pour in our mold. After a couple minutes in its nice warm bath, you can see all those remaining bubbles up there at the surface. So I'm just going to kiss it with the torch really quick, and they're gone. This mold I got from Maple Street Supply. Look at how perfect it is. This is like a 2.5-inch circle. I'm going to mix in a little bit of glitter. This is Stackhouse from Mr. Nola's Glitter. And we want to add just enough glitter to cover the top of our little medicine cup here. This mold will take less than 30 milliliters of epoxy. When you're adding your glitter, remember we can always add more, we just can't take away. After I've mixed in my glitter, I'm going to spritz my mold with some 91% rubbing alcohol. This is going to help move any bubbles from the bottom of our mold up to the surface. And we're going to just pour in our glitter and epoxy mixture all the way up to the top. After we've poured our epoxy in, I'm just going to spritz the mold again with some rubbing alcohol to pop any bubbles from the surface. And then what I like to do is kind of sit there for a minute with my stir stick and pop any bubbles that come to the surface. It also helps to kind of bend down and look at it in an angle so you can see the light reflection. That'll help reveal any kind of other bubbles that have come up. I also like to tap the side of my mold, and sometimes I'll like pick the mold up off the table and like drop it down flat. That'll also help release some bubbles. We don't want to add any heat to pop the bubbles though, because it can damage our mold. If you wanted to use a little barbecue lighter over the top of this, you could do that too. But as you can see, not really necessary. This turned out absolutely beautiful. I waited 24 hours before I demolded this. And I don't want to toot my own horn here, but like Rudy toot toot. This epoxy was not formulated for molds, but it does well enough as long as you take the precautions that we talked about at the beginning of the video with warming the epoxy before mixing and pouring. I'm going to use my circle cutter here to cut some super cute vinyl for the inside of our shaker mold. My one gripe about this circle cutter is it's really hard to read the ruler to make sure that we get the right measurement. Not my favorite tool. I'll link it down below because I know you guys will ask me, but I just always have issues with it. I know a lot of people like it, but I prefer to use my Cricut. I just didn't feel like firing up the Cricut today. I'm sure you can relate. So after you dial in the size, you're just going to hold it firmly against your vinyl. It also helps to do this on a silicone mat, I think, so things don't slide around. But the inside of this shaker mold is exactly 2 inches. So that makes it really easy to just cut a little circle of printed vinyl and toss that in there. We're not adding liquid, so we could put whatever we want into the inside of the shaker mold pretty much, and it's going to be fine. So I'm just going to place this by hand onto the inside well of our shaker mold and pressing firmly to squeeze out any kind of bubbles. Look at how freaking cute. I think any kind of like smaller printed vinyl would be absolutely perfect for this project. Look at how sweet. I love it. Then we're going to use some of this acetate. Now you can also get this from Maple Street Supply, same place I got the mold. And you just want to place that acetate sheet right over your shaker mold to get the right size. This one's easy because it's just a circle. So I'm going to use my circle cutter again. This is about 2 1/4-ish that we want to cut the circle. This acetate sheet is what we're going to apply to hold all our little goodies inside the shaker mold. All right, so I'm going to adjust the dial on my circle cutter and cut out a 2 1/4-inch circle. Don't forget to remove the protective film, and then I like to just make sure that it fits. And now for the fun part, we're gonna pick all the cute little things that we want inside our shaker. So I used little bits from a couple different packs of polymer clay pieces that I got from Maestra Creations. I also used a few SS16 transparent crystal ABs. These are my Flynn stones from the Flynn Sisters supply shop. And I like to just throw in little bits at a time until I can get a good view of how much is in there. You don't want too much so that you cover up that cute vinyl, but just enough to make it fun. Once I'm happy with all the little bits and pieces that I've got in there, we're going to apply the acetate cover over the top. To do that, I'm going to start by just pouring a little bit of UV resin from Resin Rockers into a little medicine cup here. Set that off to the side, and I want to prep my surfaces first. So I'm going to use a paper towel and some rubbing alcohol. Just clean up around the rim of that shaker mold. Make sure there's no debris or anything. I'm also going to wipe down what will be the inside side of our acetate sheet. Make sure there's no lint or debris on there. I go over it with the felt side of my vinyl scraper tool as well, just again to make sure there's absolutely no lint or fingerprints. After we do that, I'm going to take my silicone brush tool and paint a nice even line of the UV resin along the rim of that shaker mold where we'll be attaching our acetate sheet for the little window. We don't want to get too much, but we also don't want to get too little. We want to establish a nice clean seal. Even though we're not going to be adding liquid, it's still good to take the extra measure to make sure that this gets done right. I'm going to use my tweezers here to just gently pick this up and place it right onto the top of our shaker mold, pressing around the edges very gently with my tweezers. We don't want to press too firmly, but we also want to establish a nice tight bond. And then I will put this under my UV light to cure for about 1 to 2 minutes. Here's what it should look like so far. Now we're going to dome the top of our piece. You could still see the edges of the acetate sheet, so this step is going to add a much more finished look for our keychain. I'm going to pour about a quarter size amount of the UV resin right over the top of this, and we're going to gently spread it out with our silicone brush tool, spreading edge to edge. You want to make sure that the resin is poured thick enough to where it'll really nicely spread over the whole top of our piece, but also not too thick to where it's dripping off the sides. If we get it right, it should level out really nice and smooth. after we spread it out edge to edge. After I get everything spread out nicely and evenly, I'm going to hit it with my torch to pop any bubbles. And I'm actually going to let this sit for about 60 seconds so that everything can level out before I put it under my UV light to cure for about 2 minutes. Here's what we should have so far. Look at how perfect it looks after the doming. I just love this. It is so cute. I want to put my daughter's name on the back, so I've already cut and weeded my vinyl. I used a beautiful purple, like sparkly holographic for her name, and then I offset it with a white permanent vinyl. I'm just going to layer this up like I normally would and apply it to the back of our piece. If you find that the back of your keychain is not smooth enough to apply vinyl to yet, you can go ahead and just put a layer of UV resin down and cure that to smooth it out before you put on the decal. But if we follow the steps in the beginning to ensure a smooth, bubble-free look, we should be good to go. So I'm just going to apply this to the back. I sized my decal no more than 2 inches in width and about 1 inch in height. This is a 2.5 inch circle mold, so that fit perfectly. This is a metal bail that I got from Amazon in this whole pack. I like to use the metal bails instead of the eyelet screws for heavier pieces like this because I just feel like they're easier and more durable. And I'm going to apply this with a little dot of UV resin, and I'm just going to hold it in place for a little bit under the UV light and let it finish curing for a full minute. After we have it attached, we're going to do like almost a flood coat of UV resin to dome the back, similarly to how we did the front. So I'm just going to pour a little less than a quarter size amount and spread it out edge to edge over our piece. Hit it with my torch to pop any bubbles, and then again put it under my UV light for about 2 minutes to cure. Here is our finished piece. Look at how cute. I love it. Now we're just going to attach our keychain hardware using our jump ring to loop through the bail and the loop on our keychain, and then bringing the sides of that jump ring together side by side instead of pulling it apart and pushing it together. I'm also going to add this cute little pom-pom. I bought these in a pack on Amazon years ago. I'm hoping they're still on Amazon. If they are, I will link them down below. But that's it for this tutorial. It's super easy. I can't tell you guys how much more fun I had doing these without liquid, and I think they're just as cute. Okay, now don't ask me how to add liquid to these because I couldn't tell you the right way. I've watched many different tutorials on YouTube and I've tried everything, and it's just, the juice isn't worth the squeeze for me. I think these are so much fun. Let me know what you guys thought in the comments section. If you liked my video, please be sure to give us a big thumbs up. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel. I upload new videos every Wednesday and Saturday. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you again soon. And a big thank you to all of our Flynn Sisters exclusive members. Thank you for your pledge. Your support means the world to our channel. If you love this video, you could check out our last video here. Also be sure to find us on Instagram, Facebook, Pinterest, and of course subscribe for all our new videos that come out every Wednesday and Saturday. Thanks so much for watching. See you soon.